Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Elizabeth Weinberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today, we're talking about how having this oh well mindset while working towards your goals actually can be very beneficial and can kind of free up some of your energy and actually help you stay motivated when you're trying to work towards something and maybe you feel a little frustrated or like it's not happening or, I'm never going to reach my particular goal. So, first thing I want to talk about is when we have a new goal we want to work towards. It could be anything, right? Anything that you can control, the things you're doing for it. So, like, let's say you want to reach a certain fitness goal, or you want to master a new skill, or you want to learn an instrument, or a way to dance, or you have like you want to go towards a different eating path. I mean, whatever it is for you. You want to heal this certain pattern you have, you want to change like this internal pattern reaction you have, whatever it is, just take it how it resonates for you. When we have that, sometimes when we think of the idea, we're like, oh my God, yes, I'm so excited. I'm ready to go. I know why I want it. I'm ready to have it happen. This is something that is appealing towards me. I'm going to do it. This is like a way I can feel that I'm ready to shift my energy and move towards that. So when we have that initial like idea of the goal, we get fired up, we're excited, we're ready to go. We have this initial like, yes, okay, let me do it. Let me figure it out. This is the time for me to shine, all of that. But what can happen is that's just like temporary motivation. So that can motivate us for a little bit, right? Maybe that day we think of the idea and we get so motivated and we make this list and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to, buy the outfits I need or have this particular thing, or just, we get really excited and motivated for that little bit of time. And then what happens is all of the patterns that we already have, which no judgment, we all have patterns that we would like to grow out of or change in our lives. But once that motivation kind of leaves us for a little bit, then our habits come back, the things we have to take care of, like kind of take up a lot of energy in our life, and we can lose some of that motivation to have this new, goal that we want working on. And so when that happens, so it becomes kind of the spiral, right? So that happens, then we feel shame that we got unmotivated. And then that further adds to us stop doing the activity, which is more shame. So then it's like this big loop of all that. And then usually what happens is the shame gets so big that we get frustrated and then we get this initial burst of energy again, right? Like, so it could be this cycle of like doing a lot of activity to doing none activity, no activity to being motivated to do, so it can be this cycle of bursts of like frustration and being motivated from this place of being really frustrated or really like, okay, I'm ready to do it now. And, all this stuff, which is not sustainable or long term. And so that's where like some self discipline can come in. And so this is why, if you've ever heard this talked about in any circles, but when people say like know why you want to do something, that's more motivating and can help add to your discipline than just like, okay, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. But if you know your why, for example, right, and not just like I want to do this for this physical reality reason, right? Why is typically an emotional reason. The why that keeps us motivated, that helps us stay disciplined, can be like, I want to feel proud of myself. I want to expand my skill set. I want to take care of myself. I want to keep my mind sharp. I mean, whatever it is for you, but it's typically an emotional reason. When you have that why, that's one step to breaking towards the shame cycle of like, oh, I didn't do it. Now I'm frustrated. Now I don't ever want to do it again. Now I'm back here, all this stuff. So when you know why you want to do something, again, that's step one to kind of like letting things go, to realizing like, okay, this is something that can work for me. I can be motivated to do this, because you look at your why and that should be emotional enough for you and it can be different for everyone. Someone's why that's very motivating could have no emotional impact for you, and your why that's very motivating could have no emotional impact for other people. But when you know your why, that can help keep you motivated and help you disciplined and just like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this, right? But as someone who has had to change a lot of patterns in my life, do a lot of deep soul searching and figuring out why I was sabotaging myself, or why I would get motivated and frustrated, sometimes that why isn't enough too, especially if we've been working at something for a while. We feel like the results aren't coming fast enough, or like I'm putting in all this work and I don't see any changes, even though I feel why I'm motivated to do all this, right? So sometimes our why is I definitely use that as a tool, and I think it's very important to know why. But for me, another tool that's very valuable, and I encourage people to use if this resonates for you, is using like the oh well statement. So this is like, let's say you are really, you have this, you really want to, like, I take ballet, right? So I really want to master this one ballet move. And I've been going for months and months, and I'm trying really hard. I'm doing this and it's just not happening. And that's very frustrating for me because it's like, well, I put in this certain amount of time, right? And that's different for everyone too. So it could be one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, whatever the frustration level is. Our ego has different, we'll have different lengths of time to can use different lengths of times to convince us we're not doing enough or working hard enough, right? But anyway, so you say, oh well, so when this is coming up for you, right, you can say, oh well, even if I never reach this particular goal, whatever I'm working towards, I'm still going to blank. So whatever action that you're taking to get there. So for example, let's say, even though, oh well, even though I feel like in this moment, don't say even though I'll never reach it, right? But even though I feel like in this moment I'll never reach this particular goal, I'm still going to continue to do whatever, right? So let's say you have a health and fitness goal. You say, oh well, even though I feel like I'll never reach this particular weight, whether it's gaining weight or losing weight, or this particular fitness goal, right? Even though I feel like I'll never be able to run 10 miles because I've been training for this long and all this stuff, whatever, I'm still going to nourish my body with healthy foods. I'm still going to go for that walk or that run today. Even though I feel like I'll never master this one ballet move, I'm still going to go to my ballet class tonight because it's fun, because it's nourishing, because I deserve to keep showing up for myself, because I deserve to put nutritional food in my body, because I, whatever. And this can also be for intangible results too. So like, even though I feel like I'll never change this habit I have emotionally, or even though I feel like I'll never get over this inner turmoil or resentment I have, I'm still going to go to my therapy appointment. I'm still going to go to my support group. I'm still going to go to whatever. I'm still going to read this book about this particular thing, right? Even though I feel like I'll never master this language, I'm still going to go to my language lesson class. I mean, again, there's 8 million examples. So use the one that works for you, whatever's coming up for you in your life. Even though I feel like I'll never get this job. Oh well, even though I feel like I'll never get this job, oh well, I'm still going to keep applying to these places. Or even though I feel like I'm never going to get into this one particular program for school, I'm still going to keep applying to these places. So again, this isn't like, I hope just even listening to that, if I said one of the goals you're working towards or one came up in your mind while you're listening to this, that it just reminded you that it can just free you up and kind of take some of the pressure off yourself, like almost immediately. So again, why this works is, like I just said, it frees ourselves up from like, my worth, I can only feel good about myself if I achieve this end goal. And this is very, very common in our current society. Most of us get conditioned into thinking like all this hard work you put in doesn't count until you get to this goal. And also, we live in a society that values, the end result more than the process, right? A lot of us have to unlearn, and then our egos love that too, right? Because if there's a thing to want, that feels better for our ego than just being like, I'm learning along the way, and that's cool too. And so this process of being like, oh well, even if I feel like I'm never going to get here, I'm going to keep doing the action, I'm going to keep showing up, right? It's a shift from placing our value on achieving the end goal and getting the result we want, and instead places the value on the action we're taking, and placing the value on like, this has value and I'm proud of myself and I'm still doing it, even though I might not, have the results I want yet, or it's not coming fast enough, or I feel like it's never going to come, right? So, but this is about being proud of the action we take, because that's what we can control, instead of controlling like the end goal in it's going to come in this exact moment of time in XYZ, whatever, right? So when we know that we're controlling the actions we can take, that's why they say showing up is half the battle. For me, showing up is 100% of the battle, because I can get really in my mind and just be really focused on like, well, this isn't even doing anything anyway, why would I keep showing up, but if we're tying our worth to the end goal and we feel like, well, what I'm doing isn't even worth anything unless I achieve my end goal, it's obviously very demotivating, right? That doesn't even sound welcoming or good for me to say on this video, right? Like, oh, I can only be proud of myself once I've achieved my end goal, right? It's about learning to be proud of yourself in the moment. And again, taking that pressure off for yourself that so many of us are programmed into from society, from academic achievements, job achievements, right? It's so easy to glorify these end results because there's a physical thing typically, unless it's like, again, an emotional process, but there's like a goal that's achieved or like, wow, all my work was worth it because I got this final end goal thing that I was working towards. So this is again about deciding that our worth doesn't come from just getting the end results that we want, but our worth comes from, and we have value and we can appreciate within ourselves all the action that we've taken to get there. And again, praising the action and being brave enough and disciplined enough to take the action just as much as getting, the end results that we want. The last thing I want to say about this too, if anyone's ego is going off right now with this thought process, okay, that saying like, oh, well, even if I don't get the results I want, I'm still going to show up and do this anyway, doesn't mean that you don't have the end goal, doesn't mean that you don't want the end goal, doesn't mean you give up on the end goal, right? These two things can coexist. Okay, that's not what we're saying here. It just means that you free yourself up throughout the process. And again, take some of that pressure off yourself because you've stopped associating the action with achieving the end goal and instead are putting value on, well, I'm showing up, I'm putting in the work, I'm putting my time and energy in, and it makes me feel good to take X, Y, and Z action, even if, this particular thing might never happen. Again, we're not tempting the devil here by saying, yeah, please don't make it happen, right? But again, we're just kind of moving that thing off. And most of us are rather impatient when we work towards our goals, right? This is like why so many of us can have such big goals, but maybe, we give up or we don't find them because it takes longer than our ego wants, right? And especially now, we live in a world of so much instant gratification that for us to put in the effort for something that could take, weeks, months, or years, or however long towards something, that just continuing to stay with that process actually is a really, really powerful and strong and disciplined thing to do. So good for you if that's you. Hang in there. The results will come eventually. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.